The socially optimal quantity and the per unit tax that will achieve the socially optimal quantity are which of the following? So in this question, we're told that there is a socially optimal quantity and their per unit tax. And we're told to highlight what the socially optimal quantity are and the per unit tax. So in this graph, which is a price of good X graph by quantity of good X, we have three different curves. The downward sloping curve here is marginal social benefit. The upward sloping curve here is marginal social cost. The slow curve here is marginal private cost. So in this case, we can tell this is a negative externality graph because the marginal social cost is greater than the marginal private cost, because marginal social cost is shifted to the left as compared to marginal private cost. Meaning that if we look at one point, like Q3 right here, we can see that the social cost is lower than the private cost is lower than the social cost. So there's a negative externality produced in this case. Now to highlight the socially optimal quantity, we have to look at the point where MSC equals MSB. Essentially, marginal social cost equals marginal social benefit. And looking at that, that is this curve here, where this curve intersects with marginal social benefit. So that would be at this point. Now we're asking for the socially optimal quantity, so we'll just have to look down, and that would be at this quantity, Q2. Now, the government wants to reduce the negative externality by implementing a per unit tax. So we want to shift this marginal private cost to the left, and the value of that tax should be equal to the height between these two curves, or the difference between these two curves. So looking at that, that could be P4 minus P2, P3 minus P1. Those are the only two options in this case. So it could be P4 minus P2, or P3 minus P1. These are both the same taxes. So let's look at the answer choices to see which one of those answer choices matches this situation. So we know that socially optimal quantity is Q2, so QA is wrong, C is wrong, and E is wrong, because they all say other quantities. So it's between B and D. Looking at the per unit tax, B says it's P3 minus P2, but this is incorrect, because P3 minus P2 would be only halfway down, but the per unit tax is equal to P3 minus P1, not P3 minus P2. So we can eliminate B. Now the only other option is D, and this must be the correct answer because socially optimal quantity is indeed Q2, and the per unit tax is P3 minus P1. So D is the correct answer.